Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Minds on Guard, where we're learning how to guard our minds against all of the manipulations, attacks, and attempts at thought and behavior control that we come under in the 21st century. To jump back into the series, we're going to start off by addressing an important and increasingly relevant issue: the dangers that are associated with the habit of scrolling through digital screens and how this activity negatively impacts memory development, retention, and recall. We're going to look into some current research on the subject and analyze some scientific studies that focus precisely on what's happening in our brains when we engage in frequent scrolling behaviors. It's no great mystery that our modern world has fully embraced digital technology, with smartphones, tablets, and computers playing central roles in people's lives, both in professional settings and in their personal interactions. Alongside these advancements, however, a troubling pattern has emerged: the seemingly benign habit of continuous scrolling, often on social media platforms, news feeds, or endless streams of content, can subtly but significantly harm a human brain's ability to form and retain memories. This is a major problem that I believe is contributing in massive ways to the degradation of many people's quality of life, specifically because the ability to form and retain memories is one of the most essential and foundational aspects to critical thinking. This video will be a little bit technical in spots, but the information is very important. In coming videos, we'll use what we discuss here to draw connections to other ways that our minds are being attacked. So please stick around to the end and let this information sink in. First, let's clearly define the activity that we're examining. Scrolling, especially the passive and continuous type associated with applications like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and various news aggregation sites, involves rapidly viewing and then discarding information. While this action might feel relaxing or entertaining, recent research suggests that it's profoundly disruptive to our cognitive processes, especially regarding memory. Let's consider some findings from recent neuroscience studies. There is a growing body of evidence and research which shows that the act of passive scrolling substantially reduces the brain's capacity to encode information into long-term memory. This phenomenon occurs because scrolling encourages what scientists call continuous partial attention, a state where the brain is neither fully engaged nor entirely disengaged from its task. In this state, information is superficially processed rather than deeply integrated, leading to weak memory formation and poor retention. Dr. Gloria Mark, a renowned researcher in digital distraction at the University of California, Irvine, has conducted extensive studies highlighting how fragmented attention, which is precisely what scrolling fosters, undermines cognitive performance. Her research reveals that the habitual fragmentation of attention can lead to a reduction in one's overall ability to concentrate, causing profound effects on memory. When our attention constantly shifts from one piece of information to another, the brain's hippocampus, the region responsible for memory formation, is unable to efficiently process and store the information inputs. The result? Information rarely makes it beyond our short-term memory into long-term retention. Another critical aspect of the scrolling phenomenon is its impact on working memory, which involves the temporary storage and manipulation of information necessary for cognitive tasks such as comprehension, learning, and reasoning, is directly impaired by repetitive scrolling. According to a comprehensive 2022 study, frequent interruptions and task switching, both core features of scrolling, significantly degrade working memory capacity. The constant influx of new stimuli demands immediate cognitive processing, which means that valuable mental resources are diverted away from deeper memory integration and analysis. Now, this constant redirection of cognitive effort is problematic because effective memory retention requires dedicated focus and periodic reinforcement. Passive scrolling fails on both counts. It provides neither meaningful engagement nor successful repetition of information to reinforce vital neural connections. Instead, it promotes a shallow mode of cognitive operation, where superficial details briefly capture our attention before being quickly forgotten. Such habits significantly impair the brain's ability to consolidate memories, a process that is crucial for long-term information recall. Furthermore, neuroscientists have observed direct neurological changes associated with chronic scrolling habits. Researchers observed that individuals who reported high levels of digital multitasking, including scrolling, showed reduced density in brain areas that were associated with cognitive control and memory retention, which correlated with poorer performance in memory-related tasks. These findings suggest that regular scrolling could lead not merely to functional impairments in memory, but to physical neurological changes that are potentially long-lasting and very difficult to reverse. An equally concerning discovery from recent studies relates to the addictive qualities of scrolling. Research identified scrolling behaviors as highly addictive due to the intermittent reinforcement patterns that are built into many digital platforms. Much like gambling behaviors, the unpredictable rewards of likes, shares, new information, or surprising content trigger dopamine releases, encouraging continued scrolling behavior. We've discussed these kinds of activities on this channel before in our study on narcissistic supply. Unfortunately, while dopamine provides temporary gratification, it doesn't facilitate memory encoding or meaningful cognitive engagement. This addictive quality thus perpetuates cognitive decline by fostering repeated cycles of shallow engagement. The effects of this kind of engagement, when carried into multiple areas of life, can and very often does have a profoundly negative impact on relationships. We are seeing these kinds of impacts all over the place. For example, among most age demographics, we have seen a rise in the reported levels of loneliness, with increases being most notable and significant in Gen Z and millennials, who are most likely to be engaged in passive scrolling behaviors. Now, it's important to ask, what are the long-term implications of these findings? The degradation of memory capabilities due to habitual scrolling carries significant consequences for educational achievement, workplace productivity, and overall cognitive health. For students, scrolling can severely compromise academic performance by weakening information retention during study sessions. In professional contexts, reduced memory capacity impacts the ability to manage tasks, recall critical details, and sustain productivity over extended periods. Depending on a person's job, this could lead to serious safety concerns and even have dangerous effects that reach out into large portions of society. Moreover, the deterioration of memory-related brain regions, such as the hippocampus, is associated with increased risks of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. While research on the direct correlation between scrolling behaviors and these severe conditions remains ongoing, early evidence suggests that we cannot afford to underestimate serious potential long-term consequences. So, what can we do? Awareness is the first step toward meaningful change. Recognizing the specific neurological processes that are affected by scrolling behaviors can empower us to actively adjust our digital habits. When we understand the risks, we can then make informed choices about our behaviors and to what levels that we engage with digital devices that expose us to potential harm. Researchers emphasize practical strategies such as limiting daily screen time, implementing deliberate breaks from digital stimuli, and practicing general mindfulness to strengthen focus and cognitive control. Techniques like the Pomodoro method, which involves focused intervals of work followed by short breaks, can be particularly beneficial for rebuilding concentration and improving memory retention. Additionally, researchers recommend doing certain cognitive exercises that are designed to rebuild neural pathways weakened by continuous partial attention. Activities like reading physical books, engaging in meaningful conversations, and pursuing hobbies that require sustained attention, such as puzzles, learning music, or creating art, can effectively reinforce memory functions. Ultimately, addressing the issue of memory impairment caused by scrolling requires a cultural shift. Digital platforms are engineered to maximize user engagement through scrolling. Recognizing this, users must consciously adopt healthier interaction patterns. We have a personal responsibility to make sure our personal and professional environments are conducive to focused, deliberate cognitive engagement rather than passive, shallow consumption. Current scientific research compellingly illustrates the significant cognitive risks that are associated with habitual scrolling, from impaired memory formation and weakened retention to long-term potential neurological effects. The evidence strongly suggests the need for vigilance and proactive management of our digital habits. By understanding and consciously addressing these issues, we can mitigate cognitive risks and safeguard our memory and cognitive health in an increasingly digital world. In upcoming videos, I'm going to attempt to make some connections between the material we've discussed here regarding the impacts of scrolling on our memory and our behaviors, and the things that we see happening in the 24-hour news cycle and the culture creation that is happening all around us. So until next time, stay diligent and stay vigilant, keeping your minds on guard.